Today I'm changing the drive axles on my 2004 Dodge Stratus RT. Now this is the same with most front-wheel drive vehicles. The way that the ball joint comes out, it actually makes it very easy to take out and put back in. Now we also have to break this loose. You could break this loose on the ground. I just pulled my cotter pin out here, and I have faith that my power tools will actually get this off. So let's give it a try. Oh wow. So this side is off. Now to take out the ball joint bolt, we have to put a wrench on this nut back here and then take the bolt out from this side, or you could do it the other way, whichever tool you want to put on whichever side. So to get the axle to actually go through the hub here, I took my sledgehammer and just gave it a good couple beatings, and then I actually had to take a small socket and put it in there and tap it through a little further. Then eventually it popped out, and then it also popped out of that, which I didn't really yank it apart with force for it to do that. So this thing probably isn't in the best of shape. Now I just need to get my pry bar and pop that off of the transmission there. Now I didn't realize that this side has, I forget what you call that. Is that like a half shaft? But anyway, that shaft that you see there coming out of the transmission then goes into this part here, and I had to pull the old drive shaft off of this. As you can see, that's exactly what I ordered, just this half, and this slides over that part that you saw over there before, and then this side is the side that goes on the driver's side. So this is basically the left side, and this is the right side. So the old axle, I mean, it wasn't falling apart like it seemed, it just didn't have that metal band on there to hold the boot on. Now the grease inside looks kind of dry and like a little bit chunky. I expect the new grease moves around and everything just like you would expect new grease too. This was almost like chunks of wax. So I have my new axle here with the new axle nut. Gotta take that off to slide it through here, and then I just have to get this end, which looks like this, into there. So let me just do that real quick. So that part went in really easily, just lifting it up and giving it a little wiggle, and getting this back part fed up around here by pulling this out at the same time. I just got to get that up and on. Should be pretty easy at this point. So just get that old washer back in place here and get this nut on real quick, and we'll put the cotter pin on in a minute. I still have to get that the rest of the way in. It seems like the teeth are in correctly, but it might take a bit to actually get it to go all the way in. I'll play with that for a minute. So it's giving me a little bit of trouble. I mean, I didn't really want to jerk it around too much, so I'm going to get some anti-seize, and I'm not going to put it on that. I'm going to put it a little bit inside there. I'm just going to put some on my glove and, you know, get it around there in the hole. Oh, it would have been easier to do this beforehand, but whatever. Okay, so with the anti-seize, I was actually able to wiggle it around and get it to actually pop in and click on, although it actually went on very slowly, like there was a lot of wiggling and pressing, but I mean, you know, it only took 30 seconds, a minute. So now at this point, I think I can just button everything back up together, put that nut and bolt through there. So this side I started doing off of camera, and it just went so quick and so easily. The 32mm nut came off of there very easily with the Milwaukee gun, and then I loosened the 17mm nut and bolt that hold the ball joint in, and that hold the ball joint in right there. And then with a little wiggle with this fork in here, I didn't really use much force, it actually came out just fine. With a little tap of the hammer, and then I pushed with this end through here to get it to go through easily. I didn't really have to force it or bang it with a hammer or anything. And now I just have to lay down on my back and get a pry bar up through here to pop out the axle from the transmission side. So I ended up using this and just getting it up in there since there's not much room, and tapping it lightly with this until it's separated, because this, see how it gets fat pretty quick? And then I would move it to another area that was tighter and tap it in a little more, and then some fluid started leaking out. So you will need a drain pan for this. So that's what it looks like right now. There's a nice little gap, so I'll pull it out the rest of the way here then. I'm not sure how much fluid I'm going to lose, probably not much. So apparently you do lose a decent amount of fluid. Now let me just get this the rest of the way out here. That was kind of tight and difficult to find the right tool to do the trick. But once you do, like, use a little chisel like that, it's not too bad. So here's the old and new side by side. New one comes with a new nut here and a new cotter pin. So let's get that installed. Also, you want to lube up the end of this with a little bit of transmission fluid, which I did. I stuck my finger in a little fluid and got it lubed up there. Now I just went all the way under to make sure that the shaft was guided into the transmission very nice and gently. And then once I got it to a point where I couldn't muscle it in to make it actually click, I came up here and then I gave it a good little push, got it the rest of the way in. So now I just got to get this pulled back. I'm going to put some anti-seize lubricant all over this, or maybe just in the hole, or a little bit of both, and then get this pushed through here. And once again, you kind of want to wiggle it, and I mean, there's not much to damage here, but you know, gentle and just not being forceful is always better. Anti-seize lube on everything. So let's just get this back and fed through here. So as you can see, just by taking out the ball joint, there's just barely enough room to get this to turn and to start heading in, but it's going in. So let me just push it the rest of the way through, get that nut on. All right, that's now through. I just gave this a little wiggle while pushing it and it popped right through. Don't forget our washer. Then our nut. And now to torque this to as tight as it was. That should be good enough. With more holes, it increases the chance of you getting through one without too much hassle. There we go. Then you just want to bend these around. Of course, I'm gonna get out a tool and get it perfect. Next, I'm gonna get some anti-seize on this ball joint here and then put it back in its hole. So that wasn't too hard to get in the hole, and then once it was in there, I just came out here with two hands, gave it a lift, and it went the rest of the way in. Now I gotta put this bolt through and get this nut on. And with anti-seize on it, I was actually able to press that bolt right in, like just with my bare hands. Next, to get the nut started with my bare hands, and then I'm going to use tools. They're 17 millimeters, by the way. Oh, and don't forget to put some more transmission fluid back in. So with the ball joint nut and bolt all torqued up, cotter pin taken care of, I'm ready to put the wheel back on. I'm going to take it for a test drive. And that's how you change the drive axles in most front wheel drive cars.